What's up, guys? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. Hey, here's the deal, guys. I got my man Devin Dawson here again. He is the founder of the All About Auburn Sports page on Facebook. Well over 6,000 followers. So you got to believe the guy at least kind of sort of knows what he's talking about for him to have that many followers. I remember the infancy stage of that particular group and very proud of where it has come up to this point. Devin, Dawson, what is the deal? How you doing tonight, man?
What's up, my man? I'm doing great, man.
Yes, sir. Okay, so college football got back going. There were a couple of games that took place and went from beginning to end. As a matter of fact, all of these games down in the deep South, where I always talk about college football is king because it is. So, what was your take on this weekend? This weekend's games, and what did you get from that? How do you feel about the whole totality of that?
Yeah, so I'll start. I think it was the third. I know UAB played somebody. UAB pulled it off. South Alabama played Southern Miss, and man, I thought Southern Miss would beat the hell out of them. Honestly, South Alabama pulled it off. Both Alabama teams won. And I worked Saturday, so the only game I really watched was that Memphis game.
Okay.
Who'd they play? Arkansas State, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that was a pretty good game. Memphis won. A lot of passing in that game. That was a pretty good game.
One thing I got a chance to catch a small glimpse of the UAB game against who did they play? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I can't remember, man.
But either way, the one take I got from that was the fact that the crowd was involved, the players were extra excited. It just felt good to even hear you never know what you take for granted with the COVID and all this other crazy stuff going on. Just hearing the announcers, just hearing the announcers and just getting back to the normalcy of what is the culture of college football in the Deep South. And it's something that we need. It ain't nothing going on. We really don't have nothing else to do. And to have college football as that staple, I thought it was a great thing. It was great having some form of college football this weekend because if you think about it, normally we have those ACC versus SEC matchups in the kickoff classics, and then you got Alabama that's going to beat the shit out of USC. Yeah. You just didn't have that this weekend, but considering all that's involved, just to have something was a huge deal. Now, we switched this thing over to the Auburn Tigers, and a lot of people are wondering about the potential drop-off in the Auburn defense. And, we think about it like this. So who's going to be the X factor in this Auburn defense that you feel is going to be the difference maker that's going to take Auburn to a reloading type deal here in 2020?
Well, looking at what we have solid linebacker play. We still have some studs on the defensive line, but that secondary got hit really hard. So I'm going to say Big Cat Bryant. If you'll notice last year, with Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown, our secondary really wasn't that good. But those guys were able, and the linebackers were just good enough to mask some of those flaws. And I believe if Big Cat Bryant can get, because I know he's capable of pressure. He gets to the quarterback. He's had a little bit of trouble getting some sacks in, but he can pressure the quarterback, and that will mask some of those flaws and let some of those younger guys get more experience.
Just to really expound on what you just stated, a lot of folks don't know that, and they probably just really didn't pay attention to it. The fact that Big Cat Bryant's pressure is what led to Mac Jones's interception in that touchdown against Alabama. Because Big Cat Bryant applied some serious pressure. Mac Jones made an errant pass, threw it behind the running back, and next thing you know, the Auburn line, who was it? McClain? Yeah, McClain races to the other. Zacoby McClain races to the other end to add to another epic play in the Iron Bowl. So yeah. Now, although I do understand where you're coming from, but I respectfully disagree. I think that the X factor is in the secondary. I think that Roger McCreary, if he's going to play that field cornerback, that's easily the most important position. Well,
Yes.
one of the most important positions in the secondary and on the defense. And he has some big shoes to fill because Noah Igbenogany obviously goes to the NFL in the NFL, playing now for the Miami Dolphins. If you can't cover the field, then Auburn is in deep trouble. I think
Yeah.
Roger McCreary, the game that let me know that Roger McCreary is going to be the X factor is his performance against LSU. How he was able to kind of keep Jamar Chase at bay. Matter of fact, having an interception in the end zone and kept Auburn in that game, kept giving Auburn a chance to win that game. I say on my end, you're out of your mind, Devin. Big Cat Brian is not the guy. Roger McCreary is going to be the X factor on this particular defense.
I'd like to touch on that too. One thing I really like in the secondary is our safety position. Man,
Okay.
we are loaded at safety, and this still blows my mind. Yeah, he does have big shoes to fill. Noah Igbenogany was a first-round cornerback in the NFL. Does that not blow your mind?
When I think about it, I think about the 2018 season when Auburn was, facing Washington in the first game. And when I found out there was a position change, I thought, oh man, here we go again. We're in deep trouble, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But Noah Igbenogany is easily one of the best position change in at least Auburn's recent history, and they got it right. But
Exactly.
but but when we look at long term for Auburn, and especially if Auburn wants to compete for national championships, SEC championships, and hell, just to compete in the SEC West, because you got two teams in the SEC West that recruit at a top 5 level every year, Alabama and LSU. You can't be having position changes to fill pivotal spots on your roster.
Right. And
But they
A&M's
got
right there with them.
Oh yeah, and they got it right with Noah Igbenogany. He is a first round pick. They love him down in Miami. He's really, making a lot of noise down there. So Auburn actually got that particular situation right. Now, as we shift gears in this particular video, and I always love having you on here because you have a lot of great insight. You know, Auburn is coming into a very interesting season with an experienced quarterback in Bo Nix. And, there's some questions on the offensive line, but I think those things will be solved. Who is the team that scares you the most as to one of those trap games that Auburn is going to slip up on?
Yeah, so there's quite a few when you really take a look at the schedule. Obviously, you know what you're getting pretty much from your Alabamas, Georgias, LSU's, hell, even your Texas A&M. Uh, I'm thinking that Kentucky game, man. I really like what Kentucky has on the offensive line. I like their head coach, and Terry Wilson is not a bad quarterback. Now, I really don't think they have great. There was actually a fan at work the other day arguing with me about it. I really don't like some of their skill position players, but a lot of people think otherwise. So, but I really think that could be a trap game, especially being the first game.
First game, 11 o'clock game. We're going to talk about this later on in the video. Auburn, blah, 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 doesn't play well at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, although I casually agree with you as far as Kentucky goes, Kentucky is the kind of team that Auburn always has a hard time with. You think about in 2010 when Auburn won the national championship. I thought Auburn was superiorly talented. Had to have a late surge in order to beat Kentucky 34-31. So of course, Kentucky is always a problem for Auburn. Auburn manages to win the game most of the time, but I'm going to tell you like this. Although I think you're absolutely on point, the team that really scares me the most is Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a brand new head coach in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has always given Auburn problems. They have an excellent quarterback. They have excellent skill set of players. Auburn actually overmatched them in Jordan-Hare Stadium last year, but Ole Miss actually almost won the football game. So
Yes.
I think you talk about Auburn going to Oxford, Mississippi. That's a scary game for Auburn, and Auburn absolutely has a chance to get caught slipping there. But now the reason why I don't think Auburn will is we are loaded on defense, in my opinion. We're too deep as far as the front seven. Still got some questions in the secondary. Offense, I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to stop Auburn offensively. But at the same time, that game still absolutely scares me. But man, you're on point with the Kentucky thing because Kentucky always is that X factor for Auburn to where they always get caught slipping in that particular game. So
Yeah.
we've covered
Yeah. Real
oh,
quick.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine, man. I was at the Ole Miss Auburn game last year. I actually met Scotty Boyd down there. Shout out to Scotty.
Okay, yeah, man, Scotty
Man,
Boy.
it was a nail biter until the end. So I really like John Rice Plumley, and I do like Lane Kiffin as a coach.
Yes, sir.
He's probably not the best coach. He's still kind of inexperienced. Ole Miss isn't the most talented team, but I think they're good enough, and Lane Kiffin is a good enough coach. They're going to beat somebody that they're not supposed to beat.
Yeah, and
Could it be Auburn?
I just hope it ain't Auburn.
Yeah, it's possible. I hope not.
Man, let me tell you something. Auburn is in Auburn's got basically a new athletic director in Alan Greene. In my opinion, I think if you look at some of the behaviors of Gus Malzahn, you can tell that Alan Greene has had some type of influence over Gus Malzahn. Because I even think
Definitely.
about it from even with the company that I work for, when I've seen changes in management, you see changes in behavior and changes in incentives. Um, I think Alan Greene, when he and Gus Malzahn talk, it was documented that these guys talk at least once a week. And you cannot tell me from a business perspective that Alan Greene has not brought some perspective to the Auburn culture because Gus Malzahn behaves differently. He recruits differently. And when you talk about a thing that a lot of folks don't realize it, but we talk about this whole uniform thing. Auburn has had Under Armour since the latter part of Tommy Tuberville's career. And that's been a big thing. And when I think about it, I think about Alan Greene. He was actually an assistant athletic director with Buffalo. He was also on the staff as an assistant athletic director at Ole Miss. Both of these teams had Nike as their brand. And you can't tell me that Alan Greene hasn't experienced what that type of marketing and what that type of brand means or meant to that particular program. So there's a possibility that Alan Greene, with all the changes that he's made, Auburn is recruiting different, Auburn is moving different. What do you think about Alan Greene and Auburn actually pushing the envelope? And why would they push the envelope to get rid of Under Armour as their brand?
Yeah. So first, I love Alan Greene. I think he is doing a great job. What was the last guy? Jay Jacobs. What's that his name?
Yes, sir.
I believe he's the AD at Florida, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so glad to get him out of there. All right, I listened to you and Joe Toll's podcast the other night. And y'all brought this up, and I was thinking, man. I mean, there's been many times I've done this. It's Friday. I just got a big paycheck. I'm in my local apparel store with the intent I'm going to go buy something Under Armour. Auburn is sponsored. Man, I leave with Jordan, Adidas, Nike every time. I don't like anything Under Armour has, man. Yeah, I'm sure most of the listeners have done this as well. But a lot of sponsor, it's a popularity contest. People don't give a shit about Under Armour. They like Jumpman,
Yep.
Air Jordan. They're like Nike, Adidas, shit like that. And I think they would. I mean, hell, look at Oregon. A lot of the guys they get I'm sure they're influenced just based off that swagger of the uniforms and that culture they have going there. But
Yep.
it would not surprise me to see a change.
I'm thinking that there could definitely be a change in the Auburn uniform. And see, what most Auburn fans think is, okay, the change means we're going to change the dynamic of the uniform. But Joe actually brought up a good point. We don't need to change the dynamic of the uniform. We just need to change
The
the brand
logo,
of what's on the logo.
right?
So that's a huge thing. Now, as we depart with this thing, Devin, I always like having you on, and we're about to embark on a very interesting season, which I'm very excited about. Um, Let me ask you this, and I might catch you off guard with this one. Who do you think, as far as a team in the SEC, that is the biggest loser from this all SEC schedule?
I would have to say Arkansas.
Oh man, and they are.
They,
Go ahead, brother. Woo,
you know,
woo.
Arkansas was, this is my opinion. I mean, hell, it's probably a fact that they weren't going to be good anyways. But they still had some of those smaller teams. They could catch a couple wins. I have them going 0-10. I mean, looking at the
No
schedule,
way. You.
yeah, they
It's
may
bad. I saw the
they
schedule. It's bad.
yeah, man. I would be surprised. I mean, one win is my ceiling for them. And
Okay,
I'm not
so
kidding.
now that you mention that, all right. So you brought up the one win. So I got to put you on the spot again. Who are they gonna beat?
I was looking at. I think it's either Missouri. They have somebody on
Shit,
their
no sir,
schedule.
nope.
Yeah, they have somebody on their schedule that's right there in that threshold, like the worst team in the SEC,
Oh
and
man,
and they're still, a couple leaps above Arkansas.
yeah. Now let me ask you this: based on Arkansas schedule, they play in the SEC West. Um, you know, damn, I can't even think of it. Even Ole Miss is going to
Oh
throttle
yeah,
them.
oh yeah,
Mississippi State is probably going to wax them up a little bit. You're absolutely right. I can't think of any team considering how they fell apart under Chad Morris. Not now. See, this is what a lot of folks thought. They were kind of nervous about Chad Morris coming to Auburn, but going from coordinator and head coach, that's a different dynamic. But
absolutely. Look,
but when you think about everything involved, you know, I would have to, even though I don't want to agree with you on this. Um, I don't see. You know how you playing spades, you playing cards, and you're check. You're like, okay, all right. So I got three in a possible. Man, Arkansas, you got maybe one
none.
book, maybe, and I can't even name who that team would be, considering that they're in the SEC West and going to have to transition conference wise with the interconference schedule. Man, it's going to be really bad for them out there.
I want to touch something real quick. I've been hearing a lot. Chad Morris gets a lot of shit about Arkansas being terrible, and um, I've watched a lot of their games when he was their coach. But like rewatched them. A lot of the plays he called were very good plays for the situations that they were in. They just didn't execute, man. They didn't have the talent.
Yep,
It was either a missed block, a poorly thrown ball to an open receiver, a drop pass. Auburn has that talent. We don't have
exactly.
that Arkansas problem.
Nope.
So, for everybody shitting on Chad Morris, look at his resume as offensive coordinator and not as a head coach, because he's not the head coach of Auburn. He's the offensive coordinator.
Yep. And the funny part about, as you mentioned that, I'm actually I actually did a live stream where I did a somewhat of a play by play for the Auburn and Arkansas game on my channel. And the funny part about it is Arkansas actually out schemed Auburn on a lot of plays, but like you said, they just didn't have the talent to execute. And then they made some boneheaded decisions, and Auburn just kind of ran away with the game. But you give Chad Morris, I would even say that the talent that the team that Auburn had last year, maybe not the offensive line,
Yeah.
but you know, Arkansas came into that Auburn game with a very good plan, and they executed on a lot of good plays and caught Auburn off guard and out schemed them on a lot. As a matter of fact, what a lot of Auburn fans may not remember is that was actually Owen Papo's worst game as an Auburn Tiger, because he was always out of position, because they knew, Chad Morris knew that he was new, and that was the guy that he was trying to out scheme, and he did it. He did it on a lot of occasions. That was Owen Papo's worst game of the season, if you remember.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right. So
I'm gonna
oh,
add.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good, man? I'm gonna add one more thing to this podcast. Watching you and Joe, I can't remember the exact question you asked. You was basically like, what's Auburn's biggest problem, or something of that sort for this year. And Joe made a good point. Me and you have talked, with some other people, and we've kind of talked about this, but he put it the best way I've heard it. He said Auburn's biggest problem is they only have one ball. So, they play with one football. And, that hit me. He summed that up perfect. Because I look at the running back room and I see a stable, man. Like, most of these guys could be a starter almost anywhere in the country. Even like our damn freshmen could start for most teams. And look at their wide receiver. I mean, we are loaded at skill position. We got a good quarterback. All we need is a half-ass decent offensive line, and our offense is straight.
I agree with you on that, even though, like I said, we do these podcasts all the time, and you and I sometimes differ in philosophies, but that offensive line, they can't be as bad as they were last year. No
I
way
don't think they
possible.
can.
No way possible. So I think you're on to something. I think Auburn definitely has the opportunity to be very successful on the offensive side of the field. Great coaches on the defense. They are documented and they know how to put the players in the best position to be successful. Devin Dawson, let me tell you something, man. I really enjoy having you on Vernon Speak Sports Auburn, especially on this Sunday night as we cap this thing off before the Labor Day tomorrow, to give the fans something to listen to. Do you have any closing remarks before we leave, man?
Yes, Labor Day weekend. Everybody be careful, man.
Yep, exactly.
And
Just be
War
careful.
Eagle.
And War Eagle, be safe. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell twice so you don't miss any of this information. You have seen over the past year and a half that I do videos almost every single day with the help of guys like Devin Dawson. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.